If I'm Nebraska, I am pissed off leaving that game. I have a sour taste in my mouth leaving that football game. The offense was just frustrating to watch. I'm sitting here yelling at the TV like, what is going on?
Light it.
I am so excited about this week's edition of the Triple Option because finally I'm the stable one. I'm at a normal location. I'm looking at Coach. You're definitely in a daughter's bedroom, right? Like this has got
absolutely.
Yeah, this has got Gigi or somebody written all over it.
It's the official Gigi room, and we're still Hurricane Milton? So
right.
we still got.
You've
it's going to be a minute.
relocated to the Gigi room, and now Mark is. What are you in, like Urban Meyer's fan room over there?
I'm in an Urban Meyer temp setup. I'm in an Urban Meyer temporary setup. I don't know what's going on here.
I love it. You're surrounded by Coach Meyer. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Triple Option presented, of course, by the Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Saucy Nugs today. Rob Stone, our Heisman winner, Mark Ingram, our national champion head coach, Urban Meyer, back here with you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. You can find us at 3X Option Show. Remember to rate, throw us some questions, pass us on to your cousins, your uncles, your aunts. Let them follow us as well. And remember, if you have questions, throw them our way. We love the conversation we get with our listeners, with our viewers. New episodes coming your way every Wednesday. And guys, next Tuesday, we're going to do our first ever college football playoff ranking reaction show, and it is going to be live 8 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel, so you're not going to want to miss that one. But let's get right to it. You know where we're starting this week.
We're starting with this Coach Meyer national championship picture with Miss Shelley.
We got that, but no.
Speaking of the playoffs,
any given Saturday, anything can happen in college football, and we keep finding new things to talk about every Saturday because of the absolute chaos that this season has delivered. How about this? Only in college football, in 1 week, can you go from a 56-7 loss and then go into one of the most intimidating environments in all of college football, over 100,000 inside the horseshoe, to take on the 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, and on any given Saturday, that Nebraska team that got throttled by Indiana had a lead in the 4th quarter over the Ohio State. Buckeyes survive 21-17. They get the win. They have Penn State on Fox this Saturday. So much to talk about the Buckeyes, also Penn State as well. Coach, let's start with you. Ohio State. There's a lot of places we can go. We can talk about them being 1 of 10 on 3rd down. We can talk about their rushing game, just 64 yards on 31 carries. That's 2.1 yards per carry. But I think maybe all of those issues and all of the concern in Columbus goes to the big guys up front protecting the quarterback.
Big problems with the offense line. But I'm going to let Mark, I don't want to steal his thunder. I thought you were so appropriate at the post game when you said I'd be pissed off right now if I was Nebraska. You know, there's a lot of people saying you're a 24-point underdog and, hey, nice job. No, it wasn't a nice job. The offense was abysmal when they had to go score. I mean, they were handed the ball several times down there and walked away. So,
right.
But let's focus on Ohio State. And this is really important. Every team in the country, I'd say, Mark, the last 15 years, it used to be you could find linemen anywhere when you went out and recruited.
Right.
Skill was really hard to find, but then all of a sudden these specialty camps and all the focus on quarterback, receiver, running back. You know, when we would go out and recruit, you'd fall over great receivers and great skilled athletes. You can't find linemen anymore. And that's a problem. I mean, it's to the
Big
point,
problem.
Rob, listen to this. You'll go in a game with 3 guards, 3 tackles, and maybe a center, and then maybe one, but probably a guard that has to go in there. You just only have 7 guys that you can count on. Ohio State's down 2. And we knew that going into the season, that was the one area that they felt, you know, the left tackle, Simmons, is a projected high draft pick. And man, he's really improved from last. He's San Diego State transfer. Last year, really good. He was playing elite. When
out
he
for
went
the year
down,
now.
He's gone.
Yeah, knee injury at Oregon, so he's out.
Hurts.
And then the backup went in and really, really struggled. And, you know, I just went back.
And then
right
he
away,
hobbled off the field.
Yeah, no, he didn't hobble. They carried him off the field.
Right.
Standing right there. They carried him off. Looked like a hip or ankle. So now you're facing a rugged Penn State team. But back to the point that every school in the country has offensive line issues. every one of them. And that was not the case years ago. So they're hard to recruit, extremely hard to evaluate. This is important too, that when you go recruit a high school receiver, you usually say, we got one here. Very rarely do you say, wow, what's it going to look like in 2 years? In offensive linemen, you're going to recruit guys that are probably going to gain 30 to 50 pounds. And how they handle it, can they gain the weight? Will they get stronger? Will they become more mobile? Because the awkwardness of the sophomore, junior in high school when you're that big is real. That's why I would go watch every offensive lineman play basketball. If they didn't play basketball, a red flag went up with me. Every one. And I would go watch them myself because I would want to see that cat move around. Because once you can move, Rob, even when you get bigger, you can still move. And I hate to say this, when you can't move, even when you get bigger, you can't move even more. So what's the problem, Mark?
Yeah, 100%, Coach. Like you said, you don't have the guys up front, offensive line, defensive line. That's what you build your team on. Your physicality, your identity, your attitude, it comes from those guys up front. And obviously, that's going to be a huge challenge for Ohio State. And like you said about Nebraska, if I'm Nebraska, I am pissed off leaving that game. I have a sour taste in my mouth leaving that football game because your defense goes in there and they play well enough to get that job done. They let 2 long touchdowns, a 40-yard touchdown pass, a 60-yard touchdown pass go over their head. But even so, the offense was just frustrating to watch. We're sitting in the green room watching the game, Coach, and I'm sitting here yelling at the TV like, "What is going on?" Like, it was just super frustrating to watch that offense operate, man. And
Raiola had dudes. He had dudes open, and he misfired on them. Nebraska should have walked out of Columbus with the win. You agree with that, Mark?
They should have. They should have. They should have walked out of there with a win on that particular day. On that particular day, it was Nebraska's to take it, and unfortunately, they were not able to take it. So
I give Rule a ton of credit in that program, how they're able to flip the switch after getting absolutely humbled in Bloomington, and then having to tuck those tails between their legs and head to Columbus, and they showed up. The Buckeyes, season low, 21 points. Nebraska D held them to. This is the 5th straight game that the Ohio State point total in a game has declined. And obviously, Coach, we've been talking about the schedule, right? We knew the schedule was soft. It was an exhibition schedule for the Buckeyes, and now it's really starting to pick up. And this is the meat of their schedule, right? I mean, they had the test at Oregon. They had a bye week. They had a test against a very good Nebraska team. Not a great Nebraska team, but a good one. And now they've got Penn State, and they still have the Michigan game lurking at the end of the season. What is the vibe right now in Columbus with what just transpired, a survive and move on type win against Nebraska?
Well, we've all been there, and I've been there. I've been there when you lost that game too, and it's devastation. So the season's ahead of them, but I think, and I actually had a sign in the staff room. I said, "Don't tell me the problems. Tell me the solutions." We know, to sit there and discuss the problems like we just did. Everyone knows that. Don't tell. I say, don't tell us how deep the water is. Just sail across the damn thing, and let's get this thing fixed. And we every coach in the country has been caught short at offense line. Everyone. That is an absolute. It happens, a bunch of them this year. And so what you saw, they moved the left guard out, the left tackle, brought in a new guard. I'm going to try to find out who will be the starting 5. But then once again, you get a guy hurt there, man, because everyone said just move the left guard to left tackle.
You're right.
The guy sitting up, Mark Ingram knows you don't just do that. You better practice that.
It's a whole
Especially
different
against some of those
position.
dudes at Penn State, man. You're in space.
You're in space.
So, Coach, how are you adjusting this week's practice schedule if you're Ryan Day and the schedules, and how you're going to figure out that offensive line?
Well, you're deep into October, early November, so your guys are beat up. I mean, they're banged up right now, so you can't just go. First of all, simplify the run game. You're going to go zone right, zone left, power right, power left, and that's it. I would get Will Howard. He would have 15.
Hey, Coach, dumb that down for my mom who's listening in Sarasota, Florida, and Lakewood.
Yeah, zone right is on blocking. So zone right means the offense line works together to the right, or your zone. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
Now, it's not that simple. You're blocking 320-pound dudes, so it's not that simple. And movement. And then I would also run gap scheme right, gap scheme left, and that's it. But I would run the quarterback 15 to 20 times, because the ultimate equalizer is that guy. You gain a hat that way when he runs the ball. So direct snap to him, and also every player read play. And they have not done that yet.
Does that include just kind of rolling him out as well? It's more than just no. Okay.
No. So that's the run game. Zone
Okay.
right, zone left, gap right, gap left, and get the quarterback involved. The pass game, the most dangerous place to be is in that pocket. You saw that last week. Will Howard got tattooed a few times. A couple of times he barely got his back foot on the ground on 5 steps, Mark, and he was people in his in his lap there. So you're gonna get him out. This is where you get him out in the pass game, Mark, Rob. And the first one is the easiest one. That's a sprint out. No stress at all on the O-line. There's stress on the tailback or tight end to block the edge, and the quarterback gets on the edge. He's very good at it, by the way. And they're good at it. They ran that on 4th and 1 in a big moment of the game. The second one is break contain passing in the naked and boot with in the play action game. So getting the heck out of that pocket. And that's how you take stressors off the O-line.
How does that impact the tailback position, Mark, when you're having these issues?
Well, when you know the offensive line is down men, multiples, like Coach said, you want to dumb down the run game, make it simple for them so they don't have to think so much. They want to play fast, let them play aggressive. And as a running back, that means I need to be making a quick decision, getting behind my pads, running north and south, get dirty yards. Can't go down on first contact. Got to get the dirty yards. I got to get 2, 3, 4 yards after contact. That's essential, and that's the kind of responsibility that these backs will be taking on their plate in the run game, but also the pass game. As a running back, I'm trying to chip. I'm trying to go out. I'm trying to chip. Where's their best pass rusher? I got to have eyes on them because the tight end is going to chip them. The back's going to chip them. If I have an inside release through the line of scrimmage, I'm chipping the interior D lineman. On the edge, what Coach said on sprint outs, I gotta cut down the end. I gotta make sure my quarterback can get on the edge and have no pressure in his face so he can throw the football, make and deliver the ball or run. So it puts more on your plate as a runner. Got to make sure you're running north and south, making fast decisions, getting yards after contact, turning 2-yard runs into 4 or 5-yard runs. And also making sure that you're completely aware in the pass game so we can get chips on the defensive ends, chips on the interior lineman if you're not picking up your blitzer and pass.
That's really well done, Mark. That's exactly right. Well done.
Yes, sir.
You know what I found interesting is last week, Coach, we were talking about Ryan Day spent a ton of that bye time in the defensive meetings, right? He was dealing with that defensive line issue. And he's an offensive guy, right? And he brought in his guy, Chip Kelly. Is he in those offensive meetings this week?
Gosh.
Or is it just like, go get him, Chip, figure this out really fast?
You know, when I designed the Florida facility, we built a new facility. I was at Florida and we designed it. And I didn't care the carpet or the, whatever, that's fine. I just made sure the 2 offensive and defense staff rooms were, because the old days you had to walk, and I know it sounds funny, but time is of essence. And I mean, you could actually, talk loudly and they, which I did sometimes. You have to, go back and forth. So, he's bouncing now. And, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but the defense of Ohio State, played really well, by the way.
Yes.
They played really well. However, Dylan Raiola did not have a good day. So there were some peoples open, but their run defense was stout. They played well. And really, the way the offense played, I mean, it was set up to lose that game, but they stiffened up and stopped Nebraska.
So you're saying a head coach's office, it needs to be like one of those adjoining rooms at a hotel, right? Where you got the door and you always got to make sure if it's locked or unlocked, and the kids could be in the room next door or not. So you just have the offensive coordinator on one side, the defense coordinator on the other side.
Yeah.
One real quick question about the offensive line, really kind of for both you guys, because I'm fascinated by this. We live in a specialized society, right? I mean, there are camps for long snappers, right? I mean, you go to a long snapper camp to get yourself a scholarship. Kickers have their own camps and their own skill sets. We obviously know about quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Why are we not having that right now for the offensive line? And if we don't have it, perhaps we should start one right now and trademark one right now on the triple option and start making some.
Oh, they do. Rob, they do. They do.
They have to, right?
They have O-line,
D-line
D-line
emphasis, though. Yeah,
so why is it not an emphasis? Because it's not sexy enough?
But Rob, what I want to say about the O-line, man, is it's not easy to find one of them cats that's gonna block these dudes on the D-line. These D-linemen, they're aliens, dude. You talk about the inside interior rushers, like, obviously Aaron Donald is 101, but those are the type of cats you got to block. You talk about on the end, TJ Watts, Jadeveon Clowneys, these type of freak athletes that are on the edges. It's not easy to find a Trent Williams that has that alpha dog mentality, that has that aggressive mentality that's going to go out there and just lock one up. It's not easy to find those guys. That's why they're a premium. That's why they're one of the highest paid positions in the NFL. So it's very difficult to find, these guys that can block these defensive linemen who are probably the biggest, most athletic people on the field.
We're going to move on to Penn State in a second, but you brought up another point for me, and Coach, this is something you said last week about the Ohio State defense. Their defensive linemen are taking too many snaps. They are playing too much, right? There needs to be a greater rotation. How come there's not that level of rotation on the offensive line where those cats are there, not exclusively the whole game, but it feels like they play a lot more snaps in the defensive line?
Yeah, great question. You never really substitute offensive linemen.
No, they play the whole series. They play the whole series. It's
because
an 18-play series. They're there and they're tired. It's 18-play series on defense. They're changing people.
Yeah.
They get a fresh pass rush in every few plays.
The way to think about defensive line is hockey.
Yeah, line
hockey.
changes,
There's different lineups and lines where they're going because the exertion it takes. An offensive lineman to pass rush, he exerts himself nothing compared to a D lineman. And same thing with a D lineman. Ever watch when the ball is thrown or it breaks contained, they're sprinting their butt down the field. Offensive linemen, then once they waddle off the ball and move someone, they're DUN. They're done for the play.
Waddle off the ball.
Yeah. So no, it's a great question. A soccer player from Colgate would ask that question. So Mark, I saw your reaction.
I knew it was coming, Mark.
Yeah.
But it's
Go
funny
Colgate.
Mark backed me up on this one. The equivalent in soccer is the back line, the defenders in soccer. They hardly ever change them out, right?
Nope.
The two wingbacks, the guys in the middle, whatever it is, they're there the whole game. And it used to drive me nuts. Like, why? Why can't they be subbed out?
Light it.
You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, right, Mark? You've had the Wendy Nugs?
I've had them,
sauce?
and I love
All right.
them.
But, Mark, I ask you, have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs that I know you love, and you know what they turn them up to? They turn them up to 11, Mark.
Ooh, more than 10.
More than
Choose
10.
between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. There's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love.
Are you man enough to try the spicy ghost pepper, by the way? Do you think you could pull that off?
That's not for me. I'm the honey barbecue type guy.
Yeah, I can do the peppers. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then go back and get a few more napkins and prepare to nug. Apparently the word nug is a verb now. So Mark, prepare to nug like you've never nugged before for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Keep on nugging, America.
Nug City.
In our job, the office is always changing, whether it be at the Big House, the Coliseum, or even Death Valley. While there are many different types of offices out there, one thing is for certain. Choosing the right candidate for any office is a huge responsibility, Coach.
Hey, well, if you're hiring, you want to find the best candidates for your office. You need ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/option.
ZipRecruiter is the hiring site employees prefer the most based on G2. How fast does ZipRecruiter's smart technology start showing your job to qualified candidates? How about immediately? And you can invite top candidates for your job to apply to encourage them to apply sooner.
Remember, if you want to find the right candidates for your office, you need ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/option.
Again, that is ZipRecruiter.com/option. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right, we're moving on here. Let's talk about, much to Coach's dismay, we're going to move on from the soccer conversation. So Ohio State,
I like soccer conversations.
I know you do, Mark. I know you do. We'll go mute Coach here in a second in Gigi's bedroom. All right, so the Buckeyes remain at number 4 this week, 6-1, 3-1 in Big Ten play. Will Howard saying after that win over Nebraska, every game is a playoff game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got another. This is a playoff game now, right?
Playoff game.
Number 3, Penn State at home, unbeaten, 7-0, tied atop the Big Ten with Oregon and Indiana, unbeaten, sitting there. This is a playoff game for the Buckeyes. Guess what? It's a playoff game for the Penn State as well. And they had a survival moment as well. They went to Wisconsin. It was a game that we all kind of felt had a bit of a trap feel to it, right? Looking ahead to what was going to happen this Saturday in Happy Valley. And guess what? Penn State at Wisconsin, trailing at the half, and their starting quarterback, Drew Allar, limps off the field, comes back in the second half, knee brace on for the second half. Franklin's looking at him saying, hey, are you mobile enough? Can you avoid these things? He said, I'm not. So they turned to the backup, Beau Pribula, a 2-time State Player of the Year in Pennsylvania, and he changed that offense and he elevated them. 11-13, 98 yards passing, a touchdown, but it was his rushes, guys. 6 carries for 28 yards. He came in, they were down 10-7. When he left, they had outscored Wisconsin 21-3. We're going to talk about Beau Pribula in just a second. James Franklin, this is the first thing he was asked Monday. How's Allar? What's your quarterback going to be? He did what I expected. I think what everybody expected. He said, game time decision. We're going to figure it out, right? He's not going to let Ohio State know who's going to be at quarterback. So if you're the Buckeyes right now, you have to prepare, I think, for 2 quarterbacks. But I think a majority of your time, coach, is probably on the new QB at Penn State, the one with the legs, the one that might really kind of fit well with his offensive coordinator for this type of game.
Yeah. So Mark can easy to identify with this. You have about a 2-hour practice. You cut down as the season progresses, probably an hour 45. I'm thinking this time of year, just to get players off their feet.
More emphasis on walkthrough and et cetera.
And just get off their feet, man. Because early in the year we'd go sometimes 2.5 hours. But so you got a window where you got probably 30 to 40 minutes of special teams. You got your warm up. You got your backfield. You got all your individual drills, and then you go into the meat of the practice. And this time of year, it's probably more meat of practice than the development time. And I would say when Drew Allar is your quarterback, he'd spend probably 1/3 of the time, because it's really hard, even though he's not playing 1/3 of the time, Pribula, with the quarterback read option component.
Yeah.
I'm saying it flipped to now it's 100%. Because there's a chance they could get Pribula a full dose of him, and he's a really good player. We'll talk about his throwing here in a minute, but he's a nice athlete. He looks very comfortable with his reads. I've noticed him all year. I think Koltnicki's very comfortable. OC, offense coordinator Andy Koltnicki. That's his kind of quarterback. That's what he had at Kansas, a guy that can run, a guy that can distribute the ball. But up to this point in his career, he's 75% pass, 25%. No, I'm sorry, 75% run, 25% Pribula when he's in there. So Ohio State's going to spend a lot of time on that. And I don't think they have the skill, Mark, Penn State I'm speaking of, to drop back and beat Ohio State.
No.
Those 2 freaks in the backfield, Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, and then obviously the tight end, the incredible player, Tyler Warren, is those are the 3 guys that can beat Ohio State. And with this quarterback, that's a pain for the.
By the way, Ty
Buckeyes.
Warren is going to be joining us coming up here on the Triple Option.
Great, one of my favorite players in the country. Great player.
Cannot wait to talk to him. So, Mark, I can tell that Mark's about to smile, because it sounds like Penn State is going to rely heavily on the running game.
Yeah, 100%. But you when you mention Bo's stats, you say 6 carries for 28 yards. People are like, is that really affecting the game? And yes, it did. His longest run was only 9 yards. But when you see the way he was running the ball, you have to account for him. And when you have to account for the quarterback running the football and rushing for first downs, guess what that does? It opens up the entirety of the offense. The running backs love it. Now there's an extra person out of the box. If he carries out a fake, somebody's chasing him, 1 or 2 people. Now guess who's eating healthy? It's the running backs. And when you have to worry about Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and now Beau Pribula running the ball, guess what that does? It opens up guys on the outside. Tyler Warren, these guys on the outside. And I think what he did is he opened up this entire offense. His ability to be able to run the zone read, the option football, it opened up the entire offense. And you saw that in the second half last week when they were playing Wisconsin. And I think, quite frankly, with Andy Koltnicki as the offensive coordinator and Pribula, his skill set, I think that it's really like a match made in heaven for this offense, man. Just of all the things like he likes to do with Tyler Warren, how he likes to use these running backs, how he likes to be creative and have a versatile game plan with his quarterback. Beau Pribula actually fits, man. And we talk about these tough decisions that coaches have to make. Yes, Drew Allar's been your guy. Drew Allar's been leading this team for 2 years, but you know, at the end of the day, that offense looked like it was clicking how it's supposed to click when he was took over in the second half. And sometimes coaches have to make a tough decision. And obviously, we hope Drew Allar's healthy and everything like that. But Pribula looked really good last week, and I would be hesitant not to let him continue to
Yeah,
go.
I'd be
You know what
surprised
I mean?
if he's not the guy going for it. Mark, I love the fact that you jumped on 6 carries, 28 yards. Because I remember writing that down. I was like, man, I thought it would be a bigger number.
No.
But when you break it down, Coach, that's over 4 yards per carry. And your mantra when you're taking on teams, particularly if you're an overmatched team, was just get me 4 yards, right?
Yeah.
Get me 4 yards. And he was doing that.
Exactly right. And I'll say this to just, the complete agreement with Mark that a 3/4 speed Drew Allar becomes a liability. That's not good against a team like Ohio State with that pass rush and the defensive players they have. So you got some decisions. You got to have some not some really good conversations, because at the end of the day, you got to find a way to move the ball on offense. And that everybody's got to, from that one, just everybody focus how to move the football. A 3/4 speed Drew Allar, or less, even maybe a little bit more, to me is you don't have the skill at Penn State on the outside to go beat the Buckeyes. It's got to be somehow with the really good players in the backfield, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen.
Pribula's arm, though, Coach, it's a wait and see. There were a couple throws.
I
last week
talked.
that
This
had
is
you-
really good. I'm curious about. So you watch the tape, and you kind of saw it on TV a little bit, and he makes a couple throws. You're like, wow, that was a tight window throw. I'm just not sure he saw what was. I mean, it was half a step away.
What was
2 of his
lurking?
balls, it was gone. I mean, those are one was probably a pick six. He shot the thing right between 2 defenders. And I don't want to devalue Pribula because I think he's a really good player, but that was he made 2 Tom Brady throws. And I just don't believe I just don't know he's a Tom. We can start saying he's Tom Brady yet.
Can he consistently make the right decisions in the pass game, put the ball where it needs to go? That's the main question. Now, obviously, we know the impact that he can have with his legs, with his athleticism, how it opens up the offense, how it puts stress on the defense. But the main question is, not having a huge start in a big game versus a team like Ohio State, can he consistently make the right decisions, put the ball where it needs to go to help this offense move the ball and catapult them to the next phase, which they haven't been able to do, which is beat Ohio State, which is beat Michigan? Can he consistently do that in a game to help them win a game?
Here's why I like Beau Pribula. Thursday before that game, he did a bro walk with his offensive coordinator. You guys know what a bro walk is?
I do know,
shirts
and I
off.
wish I didn't. I wish I didn't.
But now you're going to find out.
Shirts
a
off
bro
after
walk
practice.
is the sun is coming down in Happy Valley. You've had a lot of stuff going on. You peel off that shirt and you soak in some of those rays. You get that vitamin D. So Pribula and his offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki, had a bro walk, the two of them, with their tops off, walking around a practice field. And ironically, leading into that Wisconsin game, the conversation was, hey, you always got to be ready. You got to have that starter mentality, like you're the guy who's going to start. And guess what? He started the second half, got the win, and Penn State remains unbeaten. There are just 8 unbeatens remaining in FBS right now. Notre Dame, they kicked out Navy out of that party, had that big 51-14 win. So we are talking Army, Miami, Pitt in the ACC, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana in the Big Ten, and then in the Big 12, BYU and Iowa State. Who's ready for a saucy nug? We're all ready. We all had Wendy's deliveries yesterday. I had saucy nugs delivered to my house with the Frosty. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know. There was some ranch dressing. It was a little spicy. Had a little kick to it. I didn't ask questions. I just ate them. Food shows up at my front door. I don't know who it came from. I don't know where it came. Nobody told me it was coming, and we just devoured it. So we're down to 8 unbeaten teams. Third time Army has been 7-0 since 1950. First time since the Dan Marino days in 82. Pitt is at 7-0. Third time BYU is 8-0 since 79. Iowa State, they're 7-0. Best start in school history since the 1938 team. Indiana, first 8-0 start since 1967. You know what all those are? Those are your saucy nugs of the week. Try some at your nearest Wendy's. So we mentioned Penn State is one of those 8 unbeatens. We are going to talk to their star tight end, Ty Warren, coming up next on The Triple Option.
Light it.
Well, as you all know by now, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. We'll also have special offers for our listeners each week. Mark, you're listening, right? You're listening to this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Pay attention. All right, so if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, we urge you to use the bonus code OPTION or go to betmgm.com/option, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer, Mark, on your first wager with BetMGM. We're talking $1,500, Mark.
$1,500. But here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code OPTION. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code OPTION when you sign up or go to betmgm.com/option.
It's all about the option, Mark.
It's all about the option, especially the triple option.
See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369 New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Welcome back to The Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob Stowe, Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer, and the guy that we have been wanting on the show for weeks, tight end Tyler Warren from the Penn State. Come on, we are. Give me a we are.
We are.
There we go. We are Penn State. Here we go.
Thank
Nittany
you.
Lions. Thank you. Set to host the
welcome.
Buckeyes. Your Nittany Lions 7-0. You have been all over this Penn State offense this season. We've got 4 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown. You even snapped on a play that led to a touchdown. What has it been like this season when you look at the play calls and you see what's being asked of you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've been having a lot of fun, and I think Coach K has brought a new energy to this offense and kind of what he does. But, and it looks like a bunch of crazy stuff, to the outside, but really it's just, 11 guys. We each have a job on each play, and we can move around and do it in a lot of different ways. But I think that's kind of what makes it work is our preparation, and it's just, we have our one job on that play and being able to move on from it. And whatever we can do in the offense to help it out is kind of how we approach it.
Are you a salesman on some of these plays, or are you involved in the calls? Is there a collaboration effort, or is Andy just kind of coming to you?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think really he's the mastermind, and our whole offensive staff, they do a great job, and we've given little tidbits and things you might have ideas for, and he listens to them, and if he likes it, he'll incorporate them. But I got to give a lot of credit to him and the staff for the way that they get creative with the tools that we have on our offense.
What's something you pitched to them?
Well, there was some, I can't say what it is, but there's been some times where like I've mentioned kind of some tendencies we might have had to make some stuff look different, different ways to get to stuff. But yeah, can't give too much of the stuff.
Hey, Ty, it's Coach, and thanks again for joining us. Admire you as a player, man. I've done a couple things on your Big Ten Network and with Fox. So look forward to seeing you again in person. Penn State's been 7-0, or the Penn State's won a lot of games over the years. There's been 2 distractions or 2 issues, and that's been the Wolverines and Buckeyes. To me, Penn State looks a little different this year. You guys have overcome some obstacles. You're going through one now with your quarterback, but to go out to USC to win, is something different this year? Once again, that Penn State's always had really good teams, really good players. It's just they can't cross that where they did in 2016. It's just been a while. You got the Buckeyes rolling to town. Is anything different this year?
Yeah, I think you kind of the way we're approaching it is a new year, and however it's gone in the past, that's we got this team now that we're focused on. And I think taking it one week at a time has been big for us, and now it's this week is Ohio State, so focusing on them will be big, and not changing our process up. Trusting our process. It's been working so far, so not changing anything up, and staying true to ourselves will be important. And I think we've done a great job of that all year up into this week, and continuing to do it this week will be big.
Man, Mark Ingram here. Tyler, man, appreciate you and your time, brother.
Yes, sir.
Um, so Drew, obviously last week, at Wisconsin, Drew Allar goes down. Beau comes in, leads the team to a big victory on the road. We know Drew's a game time decision this week, but how do you think Beau did, and how do you think he can help this team win on Saturday against Ohio State if he's the
Yeah, I
guy?
think, yeah, Bo obviously he's done it before last year coming in versus Rutgers and, kind of doing something similar, and we've seen it all through camp, and, it's not really any sense of panic when that situation comes about. We know what Bo can do, and the type of leader and competitor he is. So I think it's really just, going out and playing the game and understanding that there's still a job to do, and he's capable of doing anything you ask of him at the quarterback position. And, he's at the end of the day, besides being a quarterback, I feel like he's one of the better football players on our team. I feel like if they told him to go play linebacker, he'd go do it and be a pretty good linebacker. So I think he's a great football player in general, and he did, obviously, like you said, he did a great job of coming in and doing his job and handling business when he came in versus Wisconsin. So I think however it might look, we're prepared, and we know that we got two good quarterbacks back there.
Coming out of Virginia and learning your background just recently about your quarterback being recruited, this makes so much sense now why your comfort level standing behind center.
Mhm.
Kolodnicki averages 3 to sometimes 4 players behind center. It's very easy for you. We've seen you throw, we've seen that left-hander throw the ball a couple times. Can we see some more passing in the future here from number 44 at Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always,
Or is
it'll
that
always
too
be
much
on the
secret?
table, and no, but yeah, really, it's like I said, week to week, whatever is asked of us as players, and as at the tight end position, especially whatever it is that week, we'll be ready to do it, and that's kind of why I love playing tight end. You get to do a bunch of different things and have a bunch of different skills within the game of football, so it's been
All
fun.
right,
But
Ty, that was a politically correct
yeah.
answer. Okay,
Yes.
now
No, but
the real one. Are you in Coach K's ear and say, "Let me throw the damn thing"? All right, now go ahead.
No, I'm
No?
actually not. I
All
don't
right.
I don't I don't push anything too crazy. I just I do what I think will help out the offense the best.
All right.
No, but
Here's what was
man,
crazy.
I got a question though,
Go ahead,
man.
Mark.
Coming out of Virginia, quarterback, quarterbacks ain't usually tough and nasty like that, man. Like you on the end, you doing the dirty work, getting the blocks, you leading up on safeties, linebackers, getting blocks. How does a quarterback have that nasty in them like that, just that quick, man? How you translate that quick, man?
I mean, my whole life, I really started playing like real quarterback in high school. Really growing up, I played fullback.
Okay,
My dad
okay,
was the coach, and I
that's
don't
the
think he
answer
wanted
there.
me to. Yeah, he didn't want me to be the running back, and he's like, "You're gonna play fullback and block for the running back." So I did that, and I played linebacker and stuff growing up. So it wasn't really like I was a quarterback who had to play quarterback. That's just kind of what was needed of the high school team at that time. So that's what I did, and that's kind of how it went.
That's all I needed to hear. Fullback. I know what you about. You play the fullback.
Enough
Yeah.
said,
Hey,
right? Enough
Tyler, real
said.
quick. I know Mark's got some, or Rob's got some, but you run some of those read plays. Did you do that in high school too? Did you did you do the Q blast and the Q reads that you're doing now?
Yeah, I did a bunch of because we ran the wing T my junior and senior year, so I did a bunch of power read stuff like that, reading ends, reading linebackers. So it
Yep.
was something I'd
So it
done
makes
before.
sense. Yep.
I want to go back to, I think, my favorite play of the season, not just from you, but for all of college football at USC. And you snap the ball and you end up catching the touchdown pass on the same play. So I'm curious, when did that play get installed and what was your reaction to being told this is what's going to happen? And what was your reaction when it was called on the sideline or in the huddle at the moment?
Yeah, we'd probably had it in for about 2 weeks before that. It was on the game plan, like on the call sheet, but hadn't really been an
What's it
emphasis.
what's
But
it
going
called?
in,
What's the play call?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this actually. So it's called Kendall Tool, and Coach K was actually got on me that I didn't mention this in some recent interviews right after the game. But Kendall Tool is a Peloton instructor.
Yes,
You know, the bikes.
I'm
And every
aware of her. Yep.
Monday afternoon at 12 noon, Coach K and Coach Troutwine, they have a private lesson with her, and they love her over at Peloton, and they get real excited for their lessons. So they wanted to name that cool play after her. So that's where the name comes from.
I love that. That's dope.
All right. So what was your reaction when it got installed and then when it got called?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it was it's like, oh, I'm snapping the ball. So it was obviously a weird play and special, but like I said, and I don't want to sound like repetitive, but once you practice it a few times and like it's just kind of in the flow of the game. It's just that play, and it's you've done it 10, 12 times before on air and in practice. So really just remembering the little things about it. After we shifted, I kind of ducked down and hid behind the line to kind of hide my numbers when I was going up to the ball. Little stuff like that is kind of what you're thinking about throughout the play. But yeah, it was fun, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
You play in one of the great stadiums in college football. I've actually tell people I used to have LSU as the hardest place to play. I think Penn State is the most difficult place to play, with the student section, 110,000 people. I'm sure that the players appreciate that stadium and those students.
Yeah, I mean, especially, there's probably a few stadiums that actually can have an effect on the game, and I feel like we get to play in one of them, and just some place as historic as Penn State to be able to play in front of that crowd and then bring the energy they do every weekend is something we don't take for granted, and it's awesome. And I know you played and coached in some of the best environments in all of college football, so you know how it can be. So being able to have that as our home crowd is something I'm very proud of, and I know our team loves going out there on Saturdays.
Tyler, man, I feel like we're on one accord. I love my tight ends, bro, because I feel like tight ends and running backs, we all do the dirty work, man. Sometimes it goes
Mhm.
unnoticed, but you do that nasty, that dirty work. Get down there, deliver the body blows. We're giving you your flowers, man. But I was able to speak to Nick Singleton and Katron Allen last year, man, and I'm big fans of theirs. I want to give you a chance to give them their flowers, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to, let their tape speak for themselves. I think everybody sees what they're capable of, but I think what really sticks out to me is how they've been the same guys since they stepped on campus their
Wow.
freshman year before they started making all these plays. I remember meeting Nick the first time when he hadn't, ran a ball yet at Penn State, and meeting him now, he's the same guy, and you wouldn't know that, all the success he's had, and same with Fat Man.
Fat
But
man.
yeah, Fat Man. But yeah, I love blocking for them is fun. Talk about wanting to block and the mentality you bring. It's for those guys and the relationships we have, and when there's guys running angry like they do, that fires up the whole sideline and the whole offense. So I could sit here and talk about them all day, but they're great teammates before they are great players, and obviously they're very talented players. So it's a great combination, and they've been doing a great job back there.
All right, we
As a
got
running
a
back,
top
I'd love to play with you. I would have loved to play with you, dog. We
I
the
appreciate
same.
it.
Yeah.
Ty. We got a top 5 ball game in Happy Valley this weekend. What has the vibe been like on campus and through the practices and just the locker room early on this week?
Yeah, I think, obviously the energy around campus, it's going to start picking up as the week goes on each day. It will kind of, pick up a little bit. But like I said earlier, I think, the best thing that we've done so far this year, and I think we'll continue to this week, is, staying the same and not going up and down with kind of the energy of it, and trusting our process. But obviously we know it's a big game, and, each week you go out there, it's going to be a big game. You're playing college football players who all had offers from around the country, and they have a great defense, and we got a lot of respect for them. So it's gonna take a great game out of us, but trusting our process, and seeing what's gotten us to this point is going to be important. Trusting that as we get ready this week.
How has Coach Franklin, his staff, kept you guys at the same, as you just said?
Yeah, I feel like, it starts with when you're building your team, you're building your culture, which, there is a tradition, but it has to kind of restart each year. So really back in winter workouts and playing that standard in us, and then and building it and keep working on it as we go through camp and stuff like that. So I think really just, really it's you do it y'all been around college football. It's every day you come and it's the standard that you're up on. It's not once you get to the season or once you're about to go to the game. It's in everything we do. So I think that's kind of where it starts and how you keep building on it.
We were there a couple of weeks ago. We went to one of the institutions on campus, Berkey Creamery. All right, and let's be honest, man. How many times a week are you kind of tempted to lean on inside Berkey Creamery?
Yeah. So I do a good job of staying away, but I used to live with Olu, who is on the Jets now, the left tackle that got drafted, and he was a problem when it came to that. So I tried to, it was more of a problem when I was living with him, but now that he's gone, I've done a better job of staying away. I have Dairy Queen, though I will venture to a little bit. That's been my new spot. But yeah, I've been having some trouble with the DQ runs. But
What
yeah,
about the Wendy's? What about the Wendy's Frosty?
Yeah,
we're a
we'll
Wendy's
hook you up with some Wendy's, man.
Yeah,
we'll send you
take
some
care
gift
of
cards.
That's not off the list either. I've definitely
Yeah.
had a Frosty here and there.
Bulking season, baby. Bulking
Hey, Tyler,
season.
man, we do something on the pod, man, where we allow our guests to ask us any question. You got anything you want to fire at us, bro?
Oh man, I wish I had some prep time for this. I would have probably had a good list, but
most of them go to coach, but me and Stone are here available too.
yeah, I guess Mark, I could ask you. You obviously you played in some very big games and stuff like that. How was your approach? Did it change, or did you kind of keep the same mentality as you went into these big games at Alabama?
As big as the games are, you know that, but at the same time, you want to stay as even as you can. You want to stay as even as you can, and just don't press. Don't press. The players are going to come. Don't try to make a play that's not there. Take what the defense gives you, and there's going to be a point in the game where a big play presents itself, and just make sure that you're ready for the opportunity, because that's what makes the difference in the games. It's not forcing a play that's not there. It's just being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do, and taking advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. So obviously, we know it's a huge game. There's be a million eyes watching. Everybody's asking for stuff like us. But at the end of the day, bro, do what you've been doing. You have the talent, you have the ability, you have the mindset, you have the attitude. Don't try to press and make something happen that's not there. Do your job, be accountable, be ready, be where you're supposed to be. Because when that opportunity presents itself, that's when you'll be able to capitalize and have the big plays that make a difference in the game.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Good
Yes, sir.
question,
Yes, sir.
Tyler.
Yes,
Good
sir.
question,
Hey,
Tyler.
Tyler,
Way to
your line coach has 2 national championship rings.
Yeah, I do. I was actually thinking I could ask a question. Just what was Phil Troutwine like back in the day?
He's
'Cause I
one
know-
of I think someone did a study, 3 players on that started 2 national title games.
Mhm.
And you can ask him about the first touchdown against Ohio State. He was blocking that freaking great player for Ohio State. And Chris Leak threw a touchdown. Thank God it was a quick game, because he picked up Phil and threw him into the quarterback. So you can throw that at him today.
Yeah, I'll have to bring that up.
I just
today.
texted with him, by the way. Said, really appreciate you
Oh,
coming
really?
on. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Tyler, we appreciate the time. We know you're busy this week, and man, it has been an absolute joy to watch you this season, whether you're throwing, running, catching, blocking, snapping. Who knows? Maybe you'll kick an extra point this week, right? Really throw us an extra curveball, man. You've been everywhere and an absolute delight to watch. So congratulations on your unbeaten start, and stay healthy and enjoy this top 5 showdown from Happy Valley this week. Can't wait to see Ohio State travel to Penn State. Thanks again, Tyler.
Oh, and Tyler, last thing I got.
Oh, you got more
about these big games. Take care of that damn football. That's the last thing I got. Take care of that rock.
Yes, sir. I appreciate getting to talk to y'all. This was fun, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ty.
We
appreciate it too,
you, man. Thank you, brother.
We welcome you back to the Triple Option presented by the Wendy's. Time now to take a look at Heisman Resumes, brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/option. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right, 2 smart guys on the Heisman race right now. It feels kind of like a 4-person contest at the moment. Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty. Mark, our Heisman winner. Who's in the leader clubhouse right now for you?
The lead, as of right now, if the Heisman,
if they wanted your vote right now, who are you giving it to?
Well, I get to put three names on the ballot.
I know who's getting the big one.
The first, who's getting in spot 1?
Yeah.
Right now, I'd probably have to go with Cam Ward. I'd
Ooh,
have to go with
okay.
Cam Ward. He has Miami 8-0. They would have lost 3 games if it wasn't for Cam Ward. 24 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and I think just the swagger, the demeanor that he's playing with has resonated through that entire team. They're playing with a swagger, demeanor, and that we haven't seen from the youth since the early 2000s. So, and it all has to do with their quarterback, Cam Ward. They're 8-0, and they would have been lost 3 games if it wasn't for him. So, right now, I'm going with Cam Ward. Although, me being a running back, I
I was
love
going to say Ashton
Jeanty.
Genty right now shaking
Yeah,
his head at you.
hey, I get to put 3 names on the ballot. I get to put 3 names on the ballot. He's
But on the
definitely on it.
podcast, you only get one, Mark. You only get one.
Yeah, exactly. It's
triple
On
option.
the
who?
triple option Heisman voting.
I get to put each vote counts for a number of votes.
It does.
Number 1
It
gets
does.
10, number 2 gets 8, number 3 gets 6, or something along that line.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah,
So
Ashton Genty toting that rock. Man, got to show love to the R beast out there. Ashton Genty toting that thing. What he got? He's sitting at 1,300 yards,
Yep.
19 touchdowns, almost 9 yards a carry. And everyone wants to say, "Oh, he's playing in the Mount West, this, that."
I'm
I ain't
tired of
trying to
that
hear
too.
it, man. Go watch the man play football. He is running. He is breaking tackles. He's getting yards after contact. He's picking up pass protection. He catches the football. He is a RB1 for a reason.
Preach.
So Ashton Genty right there up there with Cam Ward on my ballot.
All right, Coach, how about your ballot?
Yeah, boy, what great four quality, great players. I love watching them all, but I'm going, the Heisman, the way it's the year, every year you have that argument. Is it the best player in the best team? Is it a quarterback? The Heisman is for the best player in college football. And I really think this guy's, those guys are really good. I think he's just a little bit better than all of them. Matter of fact, he's better. And it's Travis Hunter. He's the best player in the game right now.
He is.
I would draft him with the first pick. And this is after now I've researched what kind of person he is too. He's a dog as Prime says that he's a D man. He studies the game. There's only one way you can be that great on both sides of the ball, and that's plus he takes care of himself. He's not doing the silly college stuff that a lot of guys do. So I just got so much respect for that cat. However many, I think it's 117. I don't have it in front of me.
Man doesn't take a play off,
117 plays. And I pointed it out on Big Noon one time. The receivers sometimes backside or they don't go after you downfield. He's trying to take your hat off downfield now as a blocker. Yep. So he's the best player in the game.
Coach Prime agrees. Here's Dion on his star two-way player, Travis Hunter.
Now, Travis is the best college football player in the country. We all know that. Why are we even deliberating over that? So what we doing? Like, when does that change? So what's the criteria? Somebody need to say what's the criteria of that prestigious award? Because we're looking at the best high school football player that hadn't been a Travis Hunter ever. And I'm sitting up here saying that.
He's not wrong.
He's right.
The way he attacks it on the two-way style. And listen, Heisman's are won in November, right? We inconveniently at times forget what happened in the end of August, September, October. Travis had a Heisman moment, if you will, a couple weeks ago. We talk about these Heisman moments, and they just happen. And it does feel like you kind of need to have one of those to win that title. Mark, do you remember what your Heisman moment was?
What put me up there was I went for 246 yards on South Carolina at home. That put me in the mix, and I just kept having good games after good games. We went to Auburn. They loaded the box on me, and I didn't have a great game, but then I was able to go to Florida in the SEC championship versus Coach's team. Had about 200 scrimmage yards, 3 touchdowns, and that kind of put me over the hump. So, yeah, you got to have a couple of them for sure.
Yeah. Tebow, when was his Heisman moment, Coach?
He won in 2017, 18 actually. I thought he should have won it as well, but 17, and we played Florida State, and he just took over the game, and it was running, passing, and that was the day I think he won it. That was a big game, nationally televised game, and I told Matt this and the other Heisman voters that I know is I get so angry when they give out those ballots early. I think they changed it.
They have. They pushed it way back.
You got to wait till after championship weekend. You have
to.
Sure.
Mark, there was a time where you could vote in like October, and people were voting. I'm like, stop it! Don't do that because you're
it doesn't
measured.
make sense.
because you play a soft team and you have a big game against them. You wait until that championship game,
Yep.
rivalry games, and then if you're in the playoffs. So I'm glad I heard they did push it back.
Yeah.
You should
Smart
wait
move.
till after championship weekend.
Sure.
I was able to win mine after championship weekend because
Absolutely,
if you
you
put your
did.
ballot in after week 12, you probably wouldn't have put me on there because I had only 30 yards against Auburn, had a hit pointer, got hurt. Then I bounced back, number 1 versus number 2, championship weekend, us versus Florida. We know about that Florida team. We know about the Alabama team. I had probably one of my biggest games of my career, man, versus Coach Meyer and his Bucks. I mean, Coach Meyer and his Gators, my fault. But, yeah, 200 yards, 3 TDs. Coach even says that he helped me win that. So
That's it.
I appreciate you, Coach.
You bet.
Heisman won in November, and we're closing in on November. A lot of college football left to be played. We'll see who takes home the most prestigious title, individual title at least, in college football. Time now for Pick 6, brought to you by our great friends at BetMGM. Place your money line, prop parlay, and same game parlay bets at BetMGM. Just download that app today. As always, please gamble responsibly. All right, so Pick 6 brought to you by BetMGM. We're going to pick 6 games against the spread. Mark's got his deuce dog of the week. Start your deuce dog of the week. Get your growl and your bark ready. All right, but I'll give you time to warm up because I'll start here with Pittsburgh at SMU. How about this one? A ranked affair. Gerald J. Ford Stadium set to host 2 of the unbeatens in ACC play, at least. Pitt, they were picked to finish what in the ACC, guys? Any idea?
No idea.
Low. It's not good. 13th. Pitt picked to finish 13th. They're number 18 in the land right now. They're 7-0 for the first time since Dan Marino was slinging the rock in Steel City back in 82. Last week, they picked 6th Syracuse to death. They had 3 pick 6s against Syracuse, 41-13 blowout win. There is concern over their Alabama transfer. The redshirt freshman quarterback Eli Holstein left that win in the 4th quarter with an undisclosed injury, so you're going to want to keep up on that. Coach Narduzzi not giving anything away, kind of like Coach Franklin. Hey, we'll figure this quarterback situation out at the last possible moment when we have to tell you guys. As for SMU, last week they won in overtime at Duke. Coach, despite 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers on the road, and you win.
Against a decent team. Yeah, that's unheard of. They're a really good team.
Their quarterback, Kevin Jennings, 3 picks. He fumbled it 4 times, lost 2 of them. I just can't see that looseness of the rock happening. The Mustangs, they're 16th in the nation in scoring offense. They put up almost 40 a game. They're going to win it, but they are not going to cover. Florida, 4-3, taking on number 2, Georgia. The spread here, 16.5 points for the Bulldogs. Here's what I want to know. Why can't we bring back the world's largest cocktail party moniker? I love that. For some reason, we're not allowed to push that concept anymore. I think that was
we are on the podcast.
We are
pushing
exactly.
it.
One
That's
of the great
called.
charms of that game, man. What fun.
It's the world's largest cocktail party, and I was honored to coach in that thing. Very unique. Mark 50-50 right down the middle, in a neutral site. And Georgia is the best team in the country. You know, they're loaded. We saw what they did to Texas last time they played. We both agreed they're number 1, and Oregon's right behind them. 16.5. I'm going to say this about Florida and Billy Napier, the coach of the Gators. They were dead and gone, and they won some games. And that's a lot of credit to that coaching staff because in today's day and age, with redshirting, with kids just stop playing, they're transferring. He's done. There's something there. So I think they're actually going to cover the spread, Mark. I really do. I think Georgia is the much better team, but there's something. I just admire what's gone on in Florida the last few weeks because they beat Kentucky, they beat some other teams, and it's a 16.5 spread in that rivalry game. I think Georgia wins, but I think Florida covers.
Ooh. Let's bounce to the Big Ten. Oregon, number 1 again this week at 8-0. They received 61 of 62 first-place votes in the AP poll. They head to Ann Arbor. Here's Michigan, the defending national champs, Mark, sitting at 5-3. And again, we're talking about the quarterback situation. This week, their 7th-year quarterback, Uncle Jack Tuttle,
Retired.
Retired, yeah, medically retired on Monday. They went back to Davis Warren last week to start with Orji coming off the bench as a change of pace type quarterback. They got the win over Michigan State 24-17, and now they've got Oregon in town.
What's the line here?
14.5.
Sheesh. Man. But
That's
yeah,
too big
okay.
for you.
No, it's not. It's
No.
not.
It's too
not.
small.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to find out my dog since y'all the spreads done changed on me. I'm trying to figure out my dog, but no, this ain't the one.
I
Oregon
know what
at
the one
Michigan.
is.
I mean, you talk about two teams who are headed in complete opposite directions. Oregon does everything well. Michigan does almost nothing well right now. It's hard to imagine a scenario where Michigan would score enough points to even keep up with Michigan. Oregon's been getting better and better as the year goes on. Dylan Gabriel and the offense are humming on all cylinders. The defense has given up 9 combined points in the last 2 games, and they're going to be the number one team in the country when the CFP rankings come out, and there won't be much debate about it, even though we think Georgia is the best team in the country. But Dylan Gabriel's having a Heisman caliber year. And you would have thought that this would have been one of his Heisman kind of moments going against Michigan, but I think he's just going to be healthy. And Michigan, their offense has just not been good all year long. It's still not good right now. Their next 4 games: number 1 Oregon, 13 Indiana, Northwestern, number 4 Ohio State. They could possibly go 1-3 over that stretch. What's their record right now? 5-3.
Already have 3 losses. Yep.
So you're thinking that they could possibly lose another 3 games? I mean, this is crazy. But Khalil Mullins and Donovan Edwards last week, which is the strength of their team. They only have 42 yards and 1.9 yards per carry last week. This Michigan team's in trouble. I got Oregon going in there and handling business and covering that point spread for sure.
What a chance, though, for Michigan to salvage the season and get some of that nasty spit out of their mouth. And again, remember, Penn State had problems at Wisconsin last week. Ohio State had problems at home with Nebraska last week. Will Oregon have problems on the road at Michigan this week? Find out. Again, that's why we call it Any Given Saturday, right? Things happen. Let's go to the SEC. Number 19, Ole Miss. They're at 6-2. They're favored by 6.5 at 5-3. Arkansas. Start with the Razorbacks. Last week, their dual threat quarterback, Taylon Green, threw for 314 yards, 5 touchdowns as well. They ended up putting up 58 points, over 600 yards of offense against a struggling Mississippi State team. As for Ole Miss, their calling card this season has been what, guys? Defense. How about the defense? 1 rushing touchdown Ole Miss has allowed this season. They have the conference's top rush D. Their offense, right? You didn't really expect that, did you?
No.
Their offense, it still puts up a lot of yards. They lead the SEC in total offense, but they've had trouble finishing drives. Lane Kiffin quipping on Monday that rain could be a factor Saturday night in Fayetteville. We all know weather is a great equalizer. I'm going with Arkansas with the rain coming down to get another huge ranked home upset win. That could have been, there you go. Maybe you could loan me the dog, the Deuce dog of the week one of these weeks. All right, Mark, you have a chance for a dog, and this is your only chance for a dog, so it better be the dog. South Carolina at 4-3. We know that's a tough place to play ball. They host number 10 Texas A&M. How about them Aggies at 7-1? Last week, they earned their second top 10 win of the season, and they moved up 4 spots to number 10, the Aggies at 7-1 overall at South Carolina.
It was -3.5, right?
It went down to 2.5.
I hate the hooks, man. Like, come on. Like, the 3.5 is me. This was where I had to no, but this was gonna be my dog then. I
It's gonna be it.
It's gonna be my dog.
There you
South
go.
Carolina Gamecocks. And it's hard to play out there, man. I'm kind of scarred playing at South Carolina because they got us one time. But how about the Aggies, man? Let's talk about the Aggies for a minute. They're the only remaining undefeated SEC team in the conference play. They're the only undefeated team in conference play. We spent a lot of time giving flowers to Indiana, Coach Kurt Cignetti, deservedly so. But what about the job Mike Elko has done in year 1 at A&M? They've already beaten 2 top 10 teams in their last 3 games when Mizzou was ranked number 9 and last week number 8 LSU. They won 7 straight since their loss against Notre Dame. And maybe that $75 million buyout on Jimbo Fisher contract wasn't such a bad investment after all. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't. They come back down from 17-7 against LSU when they brought their redshirt freshman quarterback Marcel Reed off the bench last week.
Woo, what a game changer he was.
Yep. Outscored LSU 31-6. And he only threw 2 passes, but his legs were the difference in the game. And Elko has been kind of non-committal about who the starter is going to be. But you figure out it's going to be hard to turn back to Wegman after a game like he had last week. And even when Wegman was hurt earlier with the AC injury, Marcel Reed went 3-0. But listen, South Carolina is no pushover. This is a team that's played both LSU and Alabama within 3 points this season. They just smacked Oklahoma. They're pretty inconsistent on offense, but they are a really good team on defense against the run, and they have a pair of edge rushers in Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart that are 2 of the best in the country. So I'm going with A&M to win the game on the road at South Carolina, but I do like South Carolina to cover this spread. So that's the a close game. It's gonna be a close dogfight. That's the that's the dog of the week.
Deuce dog of the week.
Perhaps.
All right. Last one,
Perhaps.
the biggest game in college football this Saturday.
Maybe.
Number 4 Ohio State at 6-1 at unbeaten, third-ranked Penn State. The line is moving down. It's now Buckeyes favored by just 3.5. 4th straight week that the Big Ten has 3 of the top 4 programs in the rankings. And this one, Coach, will be the 4th top 5 meeting of the season. Buckeyes at Nittany Lions. How do you see it?
Yeah, Penn State's had really good teams over the years, and they've had 2 problems, a Wolverine problem and a Buckeye problem. They solved the Wolverine problem. They don't play them. And now they got the Buckeyes rolling in town. And I mean, this, to me, this is an even game. This is a game that's going to be dictated by health of your team. And it's always amazing to me that I never would watch a spread, but now I'm done coaching. I just kind of, something's going, Vegas is unbelievable. They have contacts, insight. So Ohio State obviously has an offensive line issue. They've lost 2 starters. Their best offensive lineman's out, the left tackle, Simmons, and now the backup, Zen, is out. And we're still not sure how they're going to manage that. This is a bad time to go into a game with 2 injuries in your offensive line. First of all, you're on the road, so you're going to deal with some noise issues. And this is really important, Rob. The further you move away from center, noise is an issue. Because you're not going to go with you can't go with cadence. You can't hear. So there's either going to do the clap, and sometimes claps don't work on those stadiums either. So now you're going to go on movement by the center. And the further you move out, this is really important. As a matter of fact, I'm on a big noon this thing. So the guard's sitting right next to the center. He can see the movement. A lot of times it's a head bob. It's something, they move their arm. Usually it's a head bob. The guard can see it. Plus the guard's playing in a confined space. You put the tackle against an Abdul Carter, some of those really fast defensive ends, and you're going to try. This is how bizarre it is. I actually taught it. You're going to try to 2-way this thing as an offensive tackle. First of all, you're a little bit further off the line of scrimmage. A lot of times the guard's helmet is in your way, and you're going to watch that center. But you also got a problem. There's a guy that's going to get paid a lot of money in the NFL that's going to be rushing off the edge. I would not leave that tackle alone for a minute. I'd have a tight end there. I'd have a tailback there. That's what I just told you. You can't do.
Yep.
They're going to ask him to do it, but you can't do it.
Nope.
I mean, a first rounder you can do it, but not potential.
He's trying to peripher the football and the rush.
I used to say that. Think about that. So you're periffing. And by the way, block this cat that's about a 4.4, 40 coming off the edge.
Eyes out there.
It can't happen. So you're going to see Ohio State. They have to. They're going to have people there, whether it be an H-back, a tight end, or a back to help them out. So I know that was a long. I'm just get fired up thinking about that, how hard that skill is. And
get coach going now.
And I used to hate. So what is today? Today is Tuesday. So today's practice, Mark. And it would drive me insane is you're going to have these big speakers, not but 20 feet from your freaking head, and you can't even coach for that 20-minute period. And it drove me insane because you're getting used to crowd noise, Rob. That's what they're doing. And there's going to be so many mistakes. You can only really go in one cadence. The more I'm thinking about this is going to be a tough
who's
one.
going to win, Coach?
He's an experienced quarterback,
tough
Will
one,
Howard, right? I mean, I know he's Big 12 experience.
They got to run. He's got to have 20 carries. He's going to.
What's the line on this song?
It's down to 3.5. I think I don't have to pick the winner. I just have to pick the spread, right?
Yep.
I think Penn State covers the spread. I think this is going to be a walk-off, one of the two teams. I don't know. I'm not ready to make a pick on who's going to win. But this will be a 1-2 point game.
You heard it.
Yep. Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, both had 10 carries last week. Both failed to get over 30 yards. They did not get it to Jeremiah Smith enough. He did have that touchdown reception, right? But only 3 receptions. They really kind of stayed away from him in the second half. They've got to use him more. And you're right, Coach. That crowd advantage in Happy Valley is at least a field goal, maybe in the 4s, 5 type swing we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's man. I mean, I'm just staring at that sucker right now, and that's because I'm
changing
going.
Your mind.
I'm right now, Mark. I'm in period 12 of practice with that damn noise screaming at us, and I'm watching my third string left tackle, number 3 left tackle, and you're like, it's the third string left tackle. Yeah. Whoever you put there is a third string left tackle in that environment.
And Penn State knows it, and they're going to go after him. What an environment it's going to be in Happy Valley. Again, Big Noon Kickoff is going to be there live on Fox. Cannot wait to get ourselves back out there at Penn State. Next week, as you guys mentioned, it's the first college football playoff rankings of the season, and we're going to be live right after the 12-team field is announced, 8 Eastern on our YouTube channel at 3X Option Show. Be sure to subscribe so you can get alerts every time that we go live, and we're going to go live throughout the season. When those college football playoff rankings come out, you're going to hear our reaction immediately. In addition to our YouTube channel, you can follow us on the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. We are at 3X Option Show. Remember, submit those questions, like, share, remind everybody. We want those questions. We're going to answer them during the next show. New episodes coming your way every Wednesday. As always, thanks to our sponsors, Wendy's, BetMGM, ZipRecruiter. Have a great week and get ready for the chaos that Saturday is set to bring.